Welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy Podcast. I'm Ani Anderson.
And I'm Brian Trzaskos. Join us as we explore the science
and art of trauma-sensitive somatic practices and tools.
Strengthen your practice as a coach, therapist, or holistic professional.
Master the art of motivating even the most challenging clients when you understand how to tap into and unlock your client's complete holistic intelligence.
If you want to learn the most cutting-edge, research-supported skills for personal and professional mastery, you've come to the right place. Let's get this conversation started.
Hi, and welcome to the Somatic Coaching Academy Podcast, episode 102.
102.
Hi, Brian. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. We are really excited today to talk about the new workshop that we have been hosting, Create Transformations on Repeat.
Mm-hmm.
This podcast is a little introduction to that work, an invitation to join us, and I'm really excited to talk a little bit more about why do I keep falling back on old patterns when I really want to change.
Yeah.
Because that's so hard for folks, Brian.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? I mean, people say they want to change, and they actually try to change. They have energy. They have all the best intentions to change. And then something happens, and they just slide back into the old patterns again.
Do I keep sliding into those old patterns? People really want to identify that, Brian.
Yeah.
It was really like... man, it's so hard for folks.
Yeah. And that's basically kind of why we created this workshop, because it's an opportunity to come and not only learn about the physiology and the science of these things, but it's also an opportunity to do a little work with yourself in real time, in a small group where you can have your questions answered in a kind of a workshopping process. It is really truly a workshop.
It is actually a workshop. Yeah. And if you're looking for the link to it, you can find it on the top of our webpage. Probably it'll say register here, but also go to the menu and go to events, and you can find it there as well. Mm-hmm. Even from our social media pages, if you go to like the about sections and stuff, the links there, it's really hard to miss. Brian, I'm really interested to know, like, what is the main reason why people are coming to this workshop?
Well, the main reasons why, to start with, is that people love learning, right? They want to learn about the physiology of body-mind kind of connection and transformation. That tends to be a big thing. But also, every person says, why wouldn't I want to learn how to do transformations on repeat?
Yeah.
Like, because transformations for a lot of people feel like there are hit or miss.
Or out of their grasp.
The random, like once in a while, maybe it'll happen if all the stars align and Mercury's not in retrograde and, all those kinds of things, like maybe it'll happen. But people want to come and learn, like, what is the actual process of transformation? Like, so that I can do it with my clients and with myself every single time.
And what's the new science? Because we talk to people all the time who are operating from old scientific principles, which it's really easy to do, by the way, because a lot of the media that you're going to see, whether it's social media, content of any kind, YouTube videos, articles, whatever, a lot of the things books that you're reading or watching out there are being recycled from old scientific principles, right? And so some things like, my thoughts create my reality, and if I just change my thinking, I will change my life, or my thoughts create my feelings. That's some of the old scientific paradigms people are coming from. What other kinds of older scientific, like my feelings are created from external events, like those kinds of things. Or even, I know I just asked you the question, now I'm answering you, or answering myself. Like the brain is in charge of everything.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. Like one of the things that we talk about a lot is the physiology, and it's not just nice and it's not just trauma informed, but it's really because the physiology informs how our brain operates and does everything that it does. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to talk about brain function without talking about physiology, you're not going to get very far.
Right. Yeah. And I do know that like most of our listeners here on the Somatic Coaching Academy podcast they're savvy listeners. They have at least heard something about embodied practice and those types of things. They've read books, like Body Keeps the Score and how emotions are made and biology of belief and those types of things. So there, you are actually kind of trending greater than the like most people out there on the planet
Yeah.
about why somatic practice is so important to create long-term change.
You've probably done a whole lot of work too.
Yep. So we dive deeper into that into the workshop, but not like it's not like a lecture lesson for that 3 hours. We dive deep enough then to help the participants turn around and use it for themselves to help to really identify where are their snags in their own transformational processes. And then we also, of course, go through each one of the practices that we teach here. We just share those things with people and they can all have an experience of that.
Yeah, they can try them out.
Yep.
So why is it, Brian, that people keep falling back into old patterns when they start to create change?
Well, the short answer is subconscious resistance, Ani. That's the short answer. But that's also that answer is a part of the longer recipe for how do you create like transformations on repeat. So, if you haven't listened to last week's podcast on core limiting core beliefs, you might want to go back and listen to that one too, because those certainly play a part. And so we don't dig deep into those in the workshop because we don't have to in order to help people understand the framework for creating predictable transformations, on repeat, which is really, again, the big part of this workshop is to help people come to and go, oh, hey, can I take that recipe and actually use it with my clients tomorrow?
Yeah.
Which is kind of what we really want to help bring forth, and then bring in that somatic piece. But the short answer is subconscious resistance, and subconscious resistance shows up in so many insidious ways to stop us and block us. But if you follow a predictable recipe in terms of creating those transformations on repeat, you can limit the amount of subconscious resistance that comes up or influences someone.
Why do you think it's important to have a predictable process to be able to combat that subconscious?
Because because we're never going to outthink the subconscious. Number one, subconscious already knows what you're thinking before you're thinking it, partly because it's telling you to think that.
Right.
Right. And so when we have a predictable process, it allows us to stay on the path when the subconscious resistance is trying to convince us to step off the path or to do something else. But if we know what comes next, if we know what comes next, if you know what comes next, then in a lot of ways, we are allowing an outside framework to guide us through the process, because no one can change on their own, right? I mean, because our subconscious is running everything. So if we don't have some type of outside framework or process moving us through where we're going in terms of change, subconscious will always stop us.
Absolutely. The subconscious is about 95% of our mind
Yeah.
power. So to think that we can consciously combat that, it's like thinking we can stand in the yard where a hurricane's coming and put our hands out and say, no, the hurricane's coming. The power of the subconscious mind will overwhelm our conscious capacity
Yeah.
to be conscious,
Yeah.
to consciously
And
walk.
it might not even overwhelm it, it'll also manipulate it. It'll
Right.
also subvert it. There's like the subconscious is really, again, insidious in the ways that it does that.
Know that it's
I don't
happening.
even know that it's
Know
happening.
that's happening. But if you're following a process, you'll know whether or not you're following the process or not.
Right. Exactly. You'll know where you are in the
You'll know
process.
where you are in the
And if you
process.
don't know where you are in the process, then that's a subconscious resistance pattern.
Yeah, it's really a lifeline
Yeah, exactly.
while creating transformation. Hey, let's talk for a second about the difference between transformation and breakthroughs, because as we're talking about this, I'm recognizing that some people don't know the difference and also can confuse them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And so, and that's another way that the subconscious actually limits us
100%.
is because
You just transformation. Look,
people can get
you're
addicted to breakthroughs.
changed.
Yeah, people can get addicted to breakthroughs. And so my question for you is, are you addicted to a breakthrough? And breakthroughs feel great, right? They're a lot of awareness. They wake us up. It's like sparks.
What do you think that looks like to be addicted to breakthroughs?
Well, what it looks like is we have a breakthrough. We have an awareness. We get lit up. We're really excited. We have a new awareness. Oh my God, that feels amazing. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to feel great. I'm going to do this. And then it kind of fades. And then we go back into an old pattern. And then we go to another conference, get another breakthrough. Oh my God, I got another breakthrough. That was amazing. That was so good. I'm going to do that. And then we forget about that. We go back to an old pattern and then we read a book. Oh, I got a breakthrough. And so we can actually, your subconscious can keep you addicted to the dopamine hit associated with breakthroughs.
And it can subversively make you think too that once like you have the breakthrough and then once certain action steps or strategies or people, it can start to project that those strategies or those people are like wrong or they don't know what they're doing, or it can make meaning all funky so that instead of actually making a change, you go back to a breakthrough over
Right.
and over and over again.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
by the way, you won't know that's happening. You'll really think it was that person, that program, that book, that
Mhm.
course, that whatever.
Yeah, because the breakthrough feels great. And your
Does.
subconscious allows you to have the breakthrough. It's like, all right, just wait. Okay, you can have the breakthrough. I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait a little longer. I'm going to wait a little longer. Wait a little longer. And then 2 days from now, I'm going to give you a stomach ache. And then you're going to forget all about that breakthrough.
I think we think that new patterns feel good. So we're
Mhm.
talking about,
Yeah,
why I keep falling into old patterns. And I think one of the things that comes up for me with this idea of being addicted to breakthroughs is we think that the new pattern feels good right away.
correct. Yeah.
And so we have the breakthrough and we're like, this is it. I made a transformation because I feel good right now. But really, there is a repatterning that goes on about the sensations that you feel when you're going to create that transformation where it gets all mixed up about the feel good, feel bad. And we
Mhm.
could do like hours and hours on this. So going to stop there, but it gets mixed
Yeah.
up and you can't tell the difference actually when you move through it and then how you make meaning out of the sensations that you feel. So you have to get to the point where you challenge all of those things to actually move forward from old patterns. But because we really want it to feel good and we really don't want anything that feels uncomfortable, then what happens is we do fall back into old
Mhm.
patterns and keep addicted to the breakthroughs so that we don't have to confront the potentially challenging sensory
Exactly.
experience.
Exactly. Exactly. So we do really have to have an understanding about what is a breakthrough and what is a transformation.
Right. Okay. So we were talking a little bit about, okay, a breakthrough. What are breakthroughs then?
Well, I think it's just what we said. There are awarenesses, new insights. Yeah, I mean, where we say, "Oh my God, I didn't see it that way before." Oh my God, that makes so much sense. It's something that could potentially spark a process of transformation.
And it happens in a moment.
Happens in a moment.
Can feel like that light bulb
Yep.
moment, that aha. It actually does usually feel good.
And they're really important. Yeah, breakthroughs
Absolutely.
are critically important.
Yeah.
But you could get addicted to them and never move forward with them to create a transformation.
Okay, so that's a breakthrough. What's a transformation?
So a transformation is a process of real change. Like breakthroughs by themselves won't create real change. They're going to create maybe a little bit of a, if we just talk about neurological rewiring for a second, breakthroughs, they might cause a couple switches to change, but they're not going to cause long-term kind of change. You've got to follow up the breakthrough with that process of transformation sort of thing, right? Like a caterpillar can be on the branch and have an idea, oh, I'd like to be a butterfly and see a butterfly. That's a breakthrough. But the caterpillar never goes and makes a cocoon and gets in the chrysalis and gets all whatever they become in there. I don't know. Nobody really even knows what happens inside of there because they're not a caterpillar anymore. They're not a butterfly. They're like a pile of goo. I mean, right? It's kind of a mysterious thing that happens in there, but they've got to go through all this mysteriousness
Yeah.
before they. Wasn't there an Eric Carle book about the
Yeah.
caterpillars? Like one of my
The
favorite.
very hungry caterpillar.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking about one of my favorite movies from it was many years ago, Bug's Life. And there's this I think it's like a German
Oh yeah.
caterpillar character. And at the very end, he pops out and he says, I'm a beautiful butterfly. But if you remember, he's still a caterpillar. He just
Yeah,
has
right.
butterfly
Yeah, right.
wings,
Exactly.
which reminds me of like the I went through a breakthrough and I'm totally different kind of haha because that caterpillar obviously did not go
Go
through
through
the
a transformation.
transformation.
Yeah.
It's still a caterpillar with butterfly
Wings.
wings.
Yeah, that's funny. That's really true. So true. So when we think about transformations, because I think this is what coaches really want to help people with. There's a lot of people out there who are transformational coaches. I mean, they actually speak to that. That's how they market themselves. That's how they speak about themselves in the world. That's the promise that they make to their clients, that they actually lead their clients to transformation. And I mean, I don't know about every coach out there if they have a process to do that or not do that. But it's really important for us to be able to have a process to do that because we want to help those transformations become predictable. We don't want them to be a, um, a lottery for people, right? We want them to be a predictable process.
Well, another reason why you want it to be a predictable process as a coach is because it can actually be pretty confronting as a coach to help your client through a transformation. It actually is probably a lot more comfortable as a coach to lead your client through breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough after breakthrough because the client gets this, oh my God. And the coach is like, yes,
Yeah, right.
we did something. We leave the session, the client likes me. Eventually they're not meeting their goals, they're not really doing the things that they said they would, and by the way, we can make plenty of excuses for ourselves with how infrequently that happens in the market anyway.
Mm,
When in reality, if you're going to be a person who walks people through a transformation, you've got to be able to sit with them when things get chrysalis like mucky in the middle, right?
yeah.
Like they could have challenging emotions that come up, they could have difficult thoughts that come up, they could blame you, they could blame the program, they could blame themselves. Like stuff
Mhm.
happens in the middle, and actually I want to talk to you more about that in a second. But as a coach, it can actually be confronting to lead people through true transformations, but the end of that, that the client actually does have a transformation, of course, is incredibly great for a
Mhm.
coach because you have things like case studies that you can use for the lifetime of your business to help people understand the kind of work that you can do, and wonderful testimonials. And by the way, you put your head on the pillow at the end of the day when you know that you can help people transform,
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's awesome. But to your point, having that process allows the coach to go through the potentially challenging part of the transformation on their side of the table as well, to know
Mhm.
where they are, and to, I think what a lot of people do is think they can rely on their intuition, but actually when we do that, we can be following our subconscious conditioning and not realize it. So
Right, which is another reason why you want to process.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So following the process allows both the client and the coach to walk through that dark forest in the middle
Yeah,
and
right.
get to the other side. So what do you see are some of the most challenging things about creating transformation, Brian? What are the real sticky parts for
Well,
people?
again, I think the subconscious resistance for me is the stickiest part. And the subconscious resistance can start right away after even having a breakthrough. It starts right away. And that's why I think it's really important to be able to, again, have these steps. So maybe we can just talk about these steps a little
Yeah,
bit,
sure.
kind of let people know. So the really the first step in a transformation is to have an intention for it. So as a coach, you have to be skilled at helping people set not goals, but intentions. And intentions, I think we've done a previous podcast on goals and intentions, haven't we? Yeah.
Yes.
So you can go back and listen to that
Yep.
one. But you have to be able to help people set really good intentions.
And we're not talking about intentions like I intend to be present right now kind of thing. Listen to the
Yeah, go back and listen to the podcast. So
podcast.
you have to be able to set those intentions, and those intentions will start to create a process of change. Now, also, sometimes clients have an intention that they've set on their own, right? They want something different in their life and that kind of stuff. And then what'll happen is some type of precipitating event will occur, which is the next kind of step. So a transformation requires intention, also requires a precipitating event. Now that precipitating event may be a breakthrough that
Right.
may be qualified as a breakthrough. And it could be a breakthrough that we put ourselves in a specific situation to have the breakthrough. Maybe we've gone to a conference, maybe we've gone to a retreat, or maybe we've been meditating regularly. Like those things put us in relationship with having a higher probability of having a precipitating event or a breakthrough. So that could happen. Or life could just hit you with a two by four, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That could also happen,
Yep.
right? So life can hit you with a two by four, and there's also then a precipitating event. So that's got to be a part of the transformative kind of journey.
Not the two by four, the
The
precipitating. Yep.
precipitating event, and again, it can show up either again as that breakthrough or something just happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so and then the other thing that, and this is the difference between a breakthrough and a transformation, a key difference, is that transformations require a choice and they require commitment,
Yes.
right? Because we don't always choose our breakthroughs, but we will always choose whether or not we have a transformation.
Hmm. Yeah. I was just thinking that the if we don't transform, our subconscious is actually choosing for us that it's
Mhm.
going to stay the same.
Yep. So we have to make a conscious choice that we're going to follow the process and go through the process of transformation. That's
And
a
commit
choice
to it.
like every day.
Right.
Yeah, so
And
that's where the
commit and
commitment comes in.
recommit.
Yeah,
Commit and
commitment.
recommit.
So we're making a choice every day, which turns into commitment, right? Because if you
Yeah,
choose every day to do it
that's a
over
commitment.
a long term, it becomes a
Mhm.
commitment technically. So you got to have that. If you don't have
Yeah.
choice and commitment, there's no transformation.
Yeah. I like how you said that. Like choosing every day is committing.
Yep, creates a commitment.
Yep.
So, and then we get into the sticky part of it is the subconscious resistance comes up, right? We have to know how to navigate resistance to change.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to eliminate resistance to change.
Oh, yeah.
I'm kidding. Like people ask that all the time. I'd like to eliminate resistance to change, kind of like I'd like a hamburger.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you can't just order that
Just
up.
order it up. No.
It's not on the menu. Because transformation
Hmm.
requires resistance to change. And the cool thing about following the process and understanding how to create transformations on repeat is what you really learn how to do is navigate resistance to change so that you can do it over and over again. It's easier,
Hmm.
when you know how.
Yeah, yeah. So our little saying is that if you're not experiencing resistance, you're actually not changing anything. And that's another way that your subconscious convinces you to not do it because your subconscious gives you another pathway, in quotes, that doesn't feel like there's resistance associated with it.
Yeah.
And what it's really doing is giving you some candy so that you actually don't change.
And clients have said to me time and time and time again, wait a minute. You mean this resistance I'm feeling is a sign that I'm on the right path?
Mhm.
Because their subconscious is telling them this resistance means you're on the wrong path.
Exactly. Yeah. And a lot of times as coaches, you may have had this experience with someone where you're talking with someone about starting to do some coaching with you. And you talk about the process and they seem like they're on board or something, and then they don't call you back and you follow up with them and they're like, well, I decided to go to this other training or this other thing. All right, I got a book. I got something else.
I need it.
Because whatever else came up was easier. So what you help them do is identify that they actually have an issue. You help them become aware of it. But then their subconscious convinced them that if they go the easier path, that they'll get a change, but then a year later, nothing's changed, right? And hopefully they come back and go, you know what? I'm ready to really kind of dig in this time with you. And so that can happen all the time as coaches, which can kind of feel really frustrating. So for your clients and for yourself, even recognize when have you stepped into an potential opportunity that you know is going to change things, and how would you know it's going to change things? Is because oftentimes it feels like there's a lot of resistance there,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then said no to it because it felt like there was not enough time, not enough money. You didn't get the hell yes, as Ani talked about in other podcasts and that kind of stuff. And the point is that that's actually exactly what was going to help you transform and change.
Yeah.
So the subconscious resistance really comes up, and this is where sensation-based motivation coaching really shines, right? Because this is the most
Yeah.
important part. Like if you
You
can't
can do
navigate
this.
can't navigate the resistance, then nothing else is going to work.
And yeah, and it totally. And if you can't find a predictable way to navigate the resistance, it's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't work. I don't know about you, but that just feels incredibly frustrating.
Yeah,
You've
so
gotten
much.
so far, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to navigate that resistance. And in doing that, it's really important that you know how to take aligned action. You know how to take action aligned with your intention, right? So if you set a really good intention, back at the beginning, then you will be able to identify actions that align with fulfilling that intention.
And being able to tell the difference between what you're talking about right now and that easy out kind
Right.
of path,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
it's different.
It's different. So you have to be able to identify those aligned actions. That's a really important part of the process. Now, another important part, which most people a lot of people don't get, is the evidence gathering part. We have to be able to gather evidence, and that reflects back to a person that their aligned actions are yielding results for them.
Yeah, that helps to confirm and reconfirm that the transformation is taking place, and it helps
Yes.
us to keep going.
Exactly. Because people usually won't see it themselves because of the subconscious resistance. So there needs to be a way to reflect that back to them. Another really important part of that is what we call community reflection piece,
Yeah.
right? Because the community affirmation, and this is a whole other podcast to talk about this piece right here, how it has to do with energy conservation around change, how important this is that, core sense of belonging for humans. Like there's so much built into that piece that if you don't have that piece, it can really just erode all the foundation that you put in the transformational process, right? Because you can
Yeah.
set up the whole process really good. You don't have that part, it'll just erode the foundation of it.
Yeah, I know that for other programs, what I'm going to say doesn't necessarily compute, but the way that we run things, some people get confused when they hear us say that sometimes the quicker, most efficient way to transform is actually to be in a group program because people think that
Yes,
they're
yeah.
going to get a higher value in a private program. And the way that we have things set up with our group programs is special. It's not, you can't compare it to other people's programs. It's baked in that you're actually going to transform more efficiently because of the group
It's all
component.
very intentional.
Yep.
Yeah, we've all done that very intentionally
It's part of
based
the
on this process.
yeah.
Based on knowing how this process works, we've built in these components to make sure that our students and our clients get change. And that's why we're kind of a big fan of group programs, actually, in that regard, because you're resourcing that right away.
Yeah. I think it's one of the reasons why so many people in our community say they love the community so much is don't get me wrong, the people are amazing. Our community of people is
Yeah.
so awesome. I
Yep.
thank my lucky stars every single day. And also there's processes baked into how we run our
Yep.
communities that allow actually the parts of you that you love to be reflected in other people,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is one of the reasons why you like them so much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's all because we've been very thoughtful and intentional about this, about the transformational process. So we kind of make sure that all these components are a part of it. And then, probably one of the last and most important things to remember when you're creating transformations on repeat is they take some time. They take just persistence, I would actually say, more than something else. And people are like, well, how much time is this going to take?
Yeah.
It all really it's different on a couple of different scenarios, really. I'm about to excuse me.
Bless you.
And so it's a little different depending on different scenarios. So some of it is how ingrained are a person's current patterns, okay? How well defended are they,
Yeah.
sort of thing. That's a
Yeah.
big part of it.
Yeah.
How much attachment do we have to our current patterns? So that's a part of it too. How much time each day, week, month are we willing to commit to doing things to
Support the
transform, right? Yeah,
transformation.
exactly. So that's a part of it too. So it's really hard. It's really impossible to say it takes this long, but we have some general kind of guidelines that we've seen, right?
Yeah, we do. And I just want to say, before you share that, I really do like what you said about persistence. Like that's a fantastic word and a different way to think about it that I think is really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's some research that says, and this is just behavior change. This is not belief change research. It's really behavior change research that on average it takes about 66 days to change a behavior. Now, in the research, it goes anywhere from like 18 days to 254 days, but the average is 66 kind of thing. But from everybody in the group that they studied, and that's just behavior. So if you're just changing a simple behavior, like opening up your car door with a different hand, to make that ingrained, it takes a couple of months. So you can imagine that changing a belief system is going to take at least that long, sort of thing.
Yeah, we kind of tend to see that it takes between the 6 and 9 month marker for people to actually create a transformation from a belief
Mhm.
standpoint that starts to translate into different areas of life. It's not just about I can open up the cart using a different handle, but actually because I
Yeah.
do that, it has other ramifications into my life. It takes time for that to happen. And I think it's actually a self-sabotaging mechanism that we see when I mean we'll have students that ask us how long our programs are, Brian, and
Mhm.
we'll tell them and they're like, well, I want to do it quicker. Okay, that's fine, but I also think that's a part of the subconscious
Yeah. Yeah.
self-sabotaging
Hmm.
mechanism to recognize that you just won't let yourself get to the place where
Yep.
you give yourself the time that is required for a complete transformation.
Yeah.
That's that easy way kind of that you were talking about
Yeah,
earlier.
exactly,
We're just gonna do it
exactly.
quicker.
Just do it quicker, people say.
Okie
But I think of those two things, like the question for me isn't like how long is this going to take? I think that's a self-limiting kind of question, as you pointed out, honey.
right.
I think the more important thing is how much persistence am I willing to give this?
Yeah.
Because persistence will speed up the process,
Yes, and
right?
persistence often looks like being creative and being vulnerable and communicating and
Yeah.
engaging and being courageous and those kinds of things.
Yep. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So those are really the steps of creating a transformational process that we've found are time tested every time. If you add those components in to a transformational journey, you will end up transforming. Just have to stay on that path in terms of doing that.
And then you'll be able to do it on repeat because you know how it goes.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if you want to actually learn how to do this was just an introduction. Come join us at the workshop. And by the way, it is a workshop. So you're going to get to try the methodology that we teach here at the Somatic Coaching Academy as
Mhm.
a part of the workshop. So you're going to go through your own process, learn the information, but also try it as well.
Yep.
Again, you can find it really easily on our website. Go to live events, and then you'll find it there. Also, it's in all of our social media and stuff when you look anywhere where we have links. So we look forward to seeing you at
Mhm.
that live workshop. If you have any questions about it, don't hesitate to reach out to us, info@somaticcoachingacademy.com. You can ask us any questions that you want, and we'll help you get the info that you need.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you there.
Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode. We hope that this conversation will help you improve your practice and change the way you think about your work, your clients, and yourself.
Continue your exploration of trauma-sensitive somatic coaching by listening to more podcast episodes at somaticcoachingacademy.com. You could be the trusted guide that people turn to help them with their most challenging situations and to reach their most precious goals. Thank you for joining us.
We'll see you next time.